Rage and the souls of the damned endure eternally. But what if I were to tell you that we are already here, according to ancient texts, secret doctrines, and even some hints within the Bible? Earth is not the paradise that it appears to be. Instead, it is a well-disguised prison, a realm of suffering, created to keep us trapped. This concept is not merely some wild theory. It is an idea that has been silenced, erased, and conveniently buried by mainstream doctrines. However, it is right there if one dares to look closely enough. Ancient texts such as the Book of Enoch, a work banned from the Bible, describe Earth as a realm of exile, not a peaceful abode. This is not the good creation that we often think of when we hear of Genesis. It is a place where rebellious beings fell from grace, creating a space where they would endure their punishment. According to the Book of Enoch, rebellious angels, known as the Watchers, descended to Earth, took human wives, and the knowledge taught by the forbidden was leading humanity towards ruin for their transgressions. They were bound to this realm, and guess what? We are also here in the fallen world, sharing the same cursed space, living out lives steeped in suffering, toil, and endless struggle. Let's talk about the term fallen world. How often do we hear it as if it were just some poetic metaphor? Fallen from what exactly? And where have we fallen to in the Gnostic texts, another set of writings banned and labeled heretical? The answer becomes even more sinister. They say Earth is actually the creation of a lower god, a demagogue, not the almighty benevolent creator we are used to hearing about. This demagogue is flawed, controlling, and cruel, according to the Gnostics. He crafted our physical world as a place for souls in an endless cycle of pain and ignorance, away from the real divine source. Earth, in this sense, is not just a place for humans to unluckily live. It is a deliberate design of a cosmic trap, a hell in the most twisted sense, where souls are kept in the dark, oblivious to their true origins. And here it gets even darker. If Earth is a prison, then what does that make us? Prisoners, souls in captivity? Look around, every joy seems to flee, every peace disturbed, every life ending in decay and death. No one gets out unscarred in this so-called paradise. Suffering is guaranteed, built into the fabric of life itself. Hunger, disease, disaster, they all seem like features, not flaws in this design. Yet, we're told to wait for salvation, to believe that our suffering has a higher purpose. But could that narrative be just another part of the trap, a way to keep us complacent, obedient, while our souls are drained by this world, one lifetime after another? Ancient hidden doctrines suggest we're in a rigged game, one designed to keep us from discovering our true potential, our real spiritual home. We are so distracted by the challenges of everyday life, we forget to question why suffering is the universal experience. Here, we often wonder why paradise seems so far out of reach despite our best efforts. The system is set up in such a way that we remain blind to our origins, struggling just to survive, all the while being told that we need to earn our way to heaven. Meanwhile, the reality is much more sinister. We are already in a well-disguised hell. So, who benefits from this arrangement? In these ancient hidden narratives, it is not a god of love, but a god of control, a figure who feeds off the ignorance, pain, and suffering of those trapped here. And the craziest part is that mainstream doctrines have done everything to keep this idea locked away, branding it heretical, banning texts that dare to reveal it. The early church, the very institution claiming to free us from sin, may have silenced the truth that could liberate us. Our paradise lost. In this twist on the story of Adam and Eve, we explore a different perspective on the beginning of humanity's exile. According to traditional narratives, they were expelled from Eden and sent to Earth. However, some ancient apocryphal texts suggest a darker version of events. These texts suggest that the expulsion was not simply a mythical consequence, but a brutal sentence that transported humanity to a world filled with sorrow, pain, and mortality. This world was a prison realm where humanity would suffer for the so-called original sin. Traditional narratives portray Earth as a temporary state of separation until humans find redemption, but some suppressed texts suggest that Eden was the only glimpse of paradise humanity was ever meant to see. Once humanity was banished, there was no return, no easy path back. They were not just sent out, they were condemned to a world designed to reflect their punishment, a world already tainted by their actions. Some of these ancient texts, which are broken and corrupt, go so far as to suggest that Earth is not simply a neutral landscape where we live out our lives, but a cursed place where suffering is a guarantee. We are talking about a realm built on hardship, where every joy is matched by equal or greater sorrow. Adam and Eve were not merely banished, they were sent to a world with a built-in system of pain, labor, and death. A place where humanity would be constantly reminded of their fall, every single day. Some of these sources suggest that Adam's punishment was not just physical exile, but also a severing of his connection with divine wisdom and a kind of amnesia, trapping him in ignorance. Earth became a land of forgetfulness, a place where knowledge was lost, where humanity would endlessly toil, disconnected from its origins, unable to remember what had been lost. The concept of paradise lost goes far beyond a garden. We are talking about the loss of an entire state of being, a spiritual home that humanity would never again experience fully. Apocryphal texts portray Earth as the direct antithesis of Eden, a stark contrast. Eden was timeless, Earth is defined by decay. Eden was boundless, Earth is ruled by limitations. What we are left with here is not a simple fall from grace, but a descent into a realm where humans are bound by the inescapable cycle of life and death, a loop from which there seems no escape. And here's the kicker. These banned books suggest that Adam's exile was meant to make him forget what true freedom, what real connection with the divine feels like. So as humanity multiplied generation after generation, we inherited not only Adam's punishment. However, his ignorance and distance from divine truth and the world around him are a constant reminder that exile is a place where each moment reminds us of what we once had and what we lost. Reality. Here, things get even more twisted. What if hell is not some fiery pit waiting for us in the afterlife, but rather the reality we are living in? What if the entire concept of hell after death is just a carefully crafted illusion, an illusion designed to keep us obedient and distracted from the brutal truth that we are already in hell? Some ancient mystical teachings and sacred texts suggest that the idea of hell as a place we go after death is nothing more than a psychological trap, keeping people terrified of an abstract punishment in some other realm and distracting them from the real problems of life. The real punishment is here on Earth. This whole existence is filled with struggle, suffering, and endless cycles of birth and death, which could be the actual hell we've been warned about. The fear of our next life is just part of a scheme to keep us from questioning what's right in front of us. Ancient powers and institutions have managed to keep humanity in a constant state of anxiety, always trying to redeem itself, always living with guilt, and always fearing what comes next. Meanwhile, they keep the focus away from the suffering and limitations we endure in this world, the rules, the restrictions, the pain. It's all just seen as the way life is, never questioned, never examined. The whole system is set up so you're too busy fearing hell to realize you might already be living in it. This perspective shakes everything up. What if the hardships we face aren't just part of life? Struggles, but they are specifically designed to keep us subdued, suffering, and dependent. Think about it. Every religion, every doctrine has its own set of rules that claim to prevent us from an afterlife of eternal damnation. But what if those rules are not about saving our souls, but about keeping us locked in this cycle, bound to this realm? From the endless grind of daily survival to the looming threat of punishment in the afterlife, it's all part of a setup to keep us in line. The real horror isn't in what supposedly waits for us after we die. It's the deception that makes us believe our current suffering is somehow necessary and justified. By keeping us focused on that future fear, we are kept from seeing the very real prison we live in every day. It's a perfect psychological cage, where we police ourselves, trying to avoid a punishment that may not even exist. The true prison walls are right here, all around us, hidden. Knowledge was considered so dangerous that it had to be eliminated, banned, or dismissed as heresy. This was because if people began questioning the idea of hell, they might start questioning the nature of the world they live in. They might ask uncomfortable questions about why things are the way they are, and more importantly, who benefits from our belief in an afterlife punishment instead of seeing the suffering of this world for what it is. The Watchers are here to tell you a detail that you don't learn in Sunday school. According to the Book of Enoch, a sacred text that delves deep into the origins of our suffering, the angels who rebelled were not just cast into a far-off corner of the universe. They fell right here on Earth, and with them came something far more sinister than we have been led to believe. These so-called Watchers, angels sent to observe humanity, broke their divine orders. They took human partners, introduced forbidden knowledge, and brought with them something far more dangerous than we could have imagined. They brought chaos, but this is not just a myth. It is the foundation of an alternative understanding of why our world feels fundamentally twisted. The Book of Enoch claims that Earth became a kind of purgatory, not only for these rebellious beings but also for their offspring, the Nephilim, and ultimately for humanity itself. Our world, according to these accounts, is not just a fallen place. It is a place cursed by beings who disrupted the natural order and unleashed suffering in their wake. Think about it. If Earth became the prison for these angels, their descendants and humanity, then what does that make us? Are we living in the shadow of their punishment, condemned to exist in a realm that absorbs the consequences of their rebellion? According to this forbidden text, these watchers not just crossed a line, they redefined our reality. Their forbidden action stained this world, making it a place that resonates with their rebellion. Their defiance and the consequences of their actions, the fallout, the chaos, the violence, the constant struggle for survival, all remnants of this cosmic rebellion. The Watcher supposedly taught humanity the arts of warfare, sorcery, and even astrology, knowledge that was never intended to be ours, according to traditional teachings. This was not simply an upgrade for humanity. These were tools of destruction and division, weapons that only served to deepen the chaos they brought with them. Humanity was not elevated. We were tainted, drawn into the consequences of their rebellion. This idea paints Earth as a realm forever marked by transgression, a place haunted by the presence of beings who weren't supposed to be there. It's not just that humans suffer, but the world itself has been transformed into something almost unrecognizable. A reality where darkness and light constantly collide, and the worst part is that according to some interpretations, this wasn't an accident. These rebellious beings knowingly altered our reality, bringing us into their twisted existence. And here's the kicker: these watchers, these angels, aren't locked away in some other dimension. They're bound right here, part of the fabric of this world, intertwined with our existence. Their punishment and humanity's struggle are deeply connected, as if our very existence is shaped by their past sins. The suffering we endure is their legacy, a never-ending reminder of a rebellion that rewrote the rules of reality. What if Earth wasn't created by the Demi-Edge? A benevolent, all-knowing God, but a flawed and arrogant being, created the Earth and the physical universe, not the true divine source. In ancient Gnostic teachings, it was believed that the Creator was a lesser, imperfect being with a distorted agenda. The Gnostics did not see this Creator as a God of love and compassion, but rather as a dark architect, a creator obsessed with control who built the world as a prison to trap human souls. According to the story, this demigod believed himself to be the supreme power in the universe, blind to the existence of a higher divine source. He wanted to be worshipped, revered, and obeyed, so he created a reality in which he could reign supreme. Earth, in this view, is not just a random cosmic accident or a beautifully inspired realm, but a realm of limitations, suffering, and control, a playground for a creator who has no interest in human freedom or enlightenment. The teachings of the Demi-Edge actually feed on our ignorance, thriving off our confusion and despair. The Gnostics believed that this Demi-Edge not only created the physical world, but carefully designed it to keep us from ever realizing our true nature. He used matter, flesh, bones, and the world around us as chains to bind our spirits. Think about the human experience, with its desires, fears, endless distractions. All of this, the Gnostics would say, is exactly how the Demi wanted it. He wanted souls so entangled in the material realm, so fixated on the here and now, that we would forget we were ever part of something higher, something divine. And this is not just about being bound physically. The Demi crafted institutions, ideologies, and even religions, to reinforce his control. Imagine a system where every doctrine, every rule, every truth we are taught from birth reinforces the idea that this world is all there is, and that he is the highest authority. The Demi-Edged influence is everywhere, in every hierarchical system, in every law that restricts personal freedom, and in every teaching that makes us fear or doubt ourselves. We are not just bound by flesh, we are bound by ideas and beliefs that limit our perception of who we truly are. According to Gnostic texts, one of the Demi-Edge's most cunning moves was to convince humanity that all suffering, all evil, and all chaos in the world were either our fault or the inevitable nature of existence. The Demi is the original gaslighter, convincing us that the pain we experience is either a punishment for our sins or just part of God's mysterious plan. If this Gnostic perspective holds any truth, then the real story is much darker. We are trapped in a world specifically designed to make us suffer and keep us small, to keep us from ever challenging its authority. Why would the Demi go to such lengths? Simple power. Gnostics believed that he craved absolute devotion and submission, and the easiest way to achieve this was by creating a reality where humans could not see beyond his control. Every impulse to question, every glimmer of doubt, every urge to seek something more would be squashed by flooding the world with fear, division, and distraction. If you did start to sense that something was not right, the world would simply grind you back into submission, work, pay, suffer, and die. It's the perfect system of control, with the damage at the top feasting on the souls of those trapped in this realm. The most mind-blowing aspect of this is that if the damage created Earth, then the world we inhabit is not a gift, but a prison, a realm of limitation disguised as reality. It's a place where everything we see, feel, touch, and experience has one ultimate purpose: to keep us ignorant of our origins, chained to this plane, and too worn down to ever seek the truth. This is a cosmic conundrum, a reality rigged from the start to prevent us from ever realizing the divine spark within ourselves. The question is, if the damage is the one pulling the strings, where does that leave humanity? Are we simply pawns in their game, cogs in a machine designed to drain our energy, keep us in fear, and make us obedient? The Gnostics believed there was a way out, a way to escape the demigrip and reconnect with the true divine source. But it would require nothing less than breaking through every lie, every fear, every limitation they imposed on us. The path to freedom, they said, is through awakening, through gnosis, a deep, unshakable knowledge of who we truly are, beyond the walls of the prison they built around us. If Earth is really a cosmic prison, then what is keeping us here? In many ancient teachings, there is a deeper layer to this story, a battle between forces of light and darkness. With Earth right in the center, this is not just a poetic metaphor for good and evil. It is a cosmic struggle that takes place in every aspect of our reality, as described by Manichaean teachings. The universe is divided into two fundamental forces, each with its own agenda. On one side, we have the forces of light, a realm of truth, freedom, and spiritual purity. On the other, there is the realm of darkness, chaos, and material entrapment. Earth, as you might expect, is right at the front lines of this battle, and we as humans are constantly influenced, pushed, and pulled by these two forces, often without realizing it. Here's how it works. The forces of light are said to be trying to awaken us, help us break free from this world's limitations, and return to our divine origin. They communicate through moments of clarity, insight, and wisdom, those rare flashes of truth that remind us that there is more to life. Life is more than what we can see around us. But these forces do not have an easy task. They are up against the forces of darkness that thrive on keeping us bound to material existence, and they do not play fair. This dark side does not want us to see beyond the physical. It does not want us questioning, nor does it want us to understand our true potential. The battlefield is not just some mythical plane. It is right here, in every experience we have, every decision we make. The struggles, doubts, endless distractions are the tools of the dark forces keeping us focused on everything but the truth. In this view, every hardship, every temptation, every fear we face, is part of the dark forces' strategy to keep our minds clouded, our spirits dulled, and our focus chained to the physical world. This cosmic battle is subtle. It is not angels and demons openly fighting in the skies. It is far more insidious. It is in the systems we live by, the pressures we face, the beliefs we are taught to follow without question. The dark side does not need to force us into submission. It just has to keep us preoccupied, consumed by work endlessly, chasing material goals, fearing failure, conditioned to follow without thought. That's how they win. That's how they maintain us from ever realizing there's even a war. Mystic teachings hint that we have within us a piece of the divine light, a spark. The dark side can never extinguish, no matter how deep it tries to hide us in illusion. This inner light is our only defense, our only weapon in this cosmic battle. But here's the key to accessing it. We must resist the constant pull of darkness, distractions, fears, endless noise, keeping us from looking inward. We have to awaken to the idea that maybe, just maybe, our struggles aren't random or meaningless. They're tactics of a force, terrified of us recognizing our true power. Why would the forces of darkness fear us? Waking up the moment we start to see through the illusion, the moment we realize this world is not what it seems. The battlefield has begun, and we are breaking free. We are no longer passive participants in their game, but rather, conscious warriors in a larger cosmic struggle aligned with the forces of light. Our goal is not to control, but to liberate and find the way out. In this realm, Earth has been cursed by rebellion and is a battleground. The question remains, if all this is true, is there a way out? Are we doomed to remain trapped in this realm, or is there a path to break free from this endless cycle of suffering and illusion? Some ancient teachings suggest that there is indeed a way, but it is not an easy path. It is not about waiting for salvation from above or hoping for a miracle. The way out lies within ourselves, in unlocking a profound inner awakening. This is the concept of gnosis, a deep transformative knowledge that ancient mystics, Gnostics, and others have spoken of. Spiritual thinkers see the key to liberation as a direct, undeniable understanding of one's true self and connection to the divine source beyond this physical reality. This understanding, or gnosis, is not simply knowledge, but a complete paradigm shift that allows one to see through the illusions of the world. Imagine spending your entire life in a dark room, knowing every inch of it, but never experiencing the light. Then one day, a window opens, and for the first time, you experience light. This window is gnosis. It is a revelation that allows you to see through the illusions and understand the true nature of existence. Gnosis is not something that can be taught in schools or explained in books. It is an experience that one must undergo in order to truly understand. It is something that transforms a person into a new being, free from the shackles of illusion and attachment. According to these teachings, the damage, or forces of darkness, have gone to great lengths to prevent this kind of awakening. They have created systems and structures that keep people in the dark, preventing them from seeing the truth. However, with gnosis, one can break free from these systems and see the world as it truly is. Distractions and fears are used to ensure that we never question the nature of reality, let alone attempt to transcend it. They don't want us to realize that this world is merely a facade, that there is something greater beyond it. In this view, the journey to liberation is a process of stripping away every belief, every fear, every attachment that ties us to the physical realm. One of the most radical ideas in Gnostic thought is that salvation is not about following rules or dogmas. It's about breaking free from those very concepts, about rejecting the limitations that have been imposed on us and realizing that the true divine does not need us to be obedient servants. Instead, it desires us to recognize our own divine spark and our ability to rise above the illusions of this world. Imagine the courage and clarity it would take to see through every societal structure and ingrained belief, to understand that they have all been designed to keep us bound. This is the essence of liberation. Level of awareness gnosis. How do we begin to approach gnosis? According to mystics and seekers throughout history, the first step is to turn inward. The outside world can be noisy, chaotic, and distracting, but within each of us, there is a core of pure consciousness, untouched by the turmoil of this realm. In silence, through meditation and contemplation, we can strip away the noise and reconnect with this inner core. From this place of inner stillness, truths begin to reveal themselves. However, let's be honest, pursuing gnosis is not for the faint of heart. It is a path that requires intense self-reflection, brutal honesty, and a willingness to confront every aspect of ourselves, including our fears, desires, attachments, and the very systems that govern our lives. These systems are set up to discourage self-exploration, teaching us to look outside ourselves for answers and rely on external sources of guidance. Authority figures, experts, or ideologies may be able to provide guidance, but they do not hold the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is not found outside of ourselves, but within. Only by discovering this truth can we hope to free ourselves from the limitations of Earth. There is another aspect to this journey towards liberation that is often overlooked. The importance of empathy, compassion, and connection is evident in this cosmic prison. We are not alone, surrounded by other souls, each facing their own struggles, trying to find meaning, purpose, and peace. The more we awaken, the more we see through the illusions of separation and competition that divide us. We begin to understand that fundamentally, we are all connected, and in that connection lies a powerful collective strength. When we start to view others not as separate beings but as reflections of ourselves, we dismantle one of society's greatest tools, division. Division keeps us weak, isolated, and focused on differences rather than our shared humanity. But by embracing compassion and lifting others as we rise, we begin to dissolve the barriers that have bound us to this reality. This unity, this shared awareness, becomes a kind of collective awakening that doesn't just liberate individuals. However, entire communities and generations are affected by this, and this brings us to the final point. What is the purpose of all this knowledge? Why should any of it matter? Because knowledge, true and profound liberating knowledge, is power. The more we understand about the nature of reality, the less power the forces of darkness or any other form of control have over us. This knowledge doesn't just free us from the prison of Earth, it frees us from cycles of fear, suffering, and ignorance that keep humanity bound. In the end, escaping this earthly prison is about transforming our understanding of it, reclaiming our birthright as conscious divine beings, and realizing that the prison walls around us are only as real as we allow them to be. When we awaken and embrace this understanding, we don't just escape, we transcend, becoming beings of light capable of seeing beyond the illusions that bind us. and living from a place of deep truth and freedom. Thank you for joining me on this journey today. It has been a profound exploration of concepts that challenge everything we have been taught, and I appreciate your open-mindedness and engagement with these ideas. If this video has resonated with you, if it has sparked even a small question or curiosity, then perhaps it is the beginning of something extraordinary. Thank you for your attention, and remember, the truth is often closer than we think.